Yes, well, when I come out of the army, I was always a bit keen on the eucalyptus before the war. Like I'd done a bit of leaf cutting, and when I come out of the army in 1946, my brother started working here on my own, like with another chap, and then my brother and I decided we'd buy the business, and it was owned by a woman at the time. Well, the difference then was everything was done with horses and wagons. The carting, forking, everything the same, like man work, plenty of that. You'd employ cutters, so men from the town would come out and cut the leaves. They'd get so much a pound for cutting, like, and we distilled, and it was drummed the same as it and sold in exactly the same way. The timber was the mallee bushes, or the trees, are about anything from 15, 20 feet high. They're rolled down, and usually in the winter, summer comes on and you burn before the hot period starts, before restrictions come in. The leaves of the timber's burnt, then you've got to clean up the sticks. Well, very often you'll get a crop of leaves the following season, but it's usually a thin crop. It takes about 3 years before it gets established that they've been rolled down, before you can, get a good crop. If we start putting a vat of leaves in the morning, it can be run off by, depending on the time of the year and the condition of the leaves, but very often 3 to 4 o'clock. In the winter time when things are wet and you've got wet leaves, very often it goes into the night time. You might be going till 9, 10 o'clock. Well, the oil is sold to industrial chemists, and they process it and take the eucalyptus from it and several other ingredients, and it's used in medicines and soaps, sweets, lollies, and there's not any of it wasted, I'd say, But you can notice the difference in these leaves, don't you, walking on them? Yeah, we don't burn very much wood in the wet weather. Sometimes we've put a good sized stumper in the solid stump just to keep the grate open, and then we fire with leaves that we take from the vats. The leaves, a lot of them have been dumped probably for 3 or 4 weeks or a month. We drag them in and they've dried out sufficient to keep a good fire. Yeah, we have two steam pumps on the boiler. One pump supplies water to the boiler from the condenser. Then hot water put into the boiler to save chilling the boiler down every time we've got to pump water. And the bigger pump, it's pumping from the dam into the condenser to keep our supply of water, cool water in the condenser to condense the steam as it goes through the tube back into liquid, so we can get the eucalyptus from that. So the steam goes in at the bottom of the vat, and it cooks up through the leaves, and as it's cooking through the leaves, it steams the oil out of them. The oil and water then pass through a pipe that comes from the top of the lid and goes through the condenser. It's a old boiler tube with about 120 feet of piping goes round in a coil in the boiler that comes out on the bottom end, on the low end, and runs into a siphon. By the time it gets to the end of the pipe, of course, it's condensed back into liquid. It runs into a siphon. Well, the oil is contained in the pot and the water runs away. It acts as a sort of a siphon. Away that. That's it. we use the old car wheel and put the tyre on it to get a bit extra size. We have a similar to an eye bolt, and an extension about 3 foot long with a ring on the end of it. And we build the leaves in the vats in sections using those irons, 5 to 6 irons into the vat. And as we pull them out, we just hook onto the eye bolt, pull them out and put them on a dray and tip them off. And that way we retrieve the iron from the section of leaves. Yes, well, one time the black water, there's always black water in the bottom. Nearly every vat that's distilled. In the dry weather, sometimes we don't get much. In the winter time, we get a lot when leaves are wet. One time, steamship companies did take that black water to put in their boilers because it stops corrosion in boilers. We use quite a lot of it in our boiler, and I think most eucalyptus distilleries do. It's also handy for anyone tempering steel. You know, I temper crowbars and picks and things like that with it, and it's much better than using just water.